Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Digital Success Hot Seat. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, today, as you know, with these interviews, it's all about talking to entrepreneurs and business owners who have restarted their life or started a business in the online space. And the whole purpose of this is to showcase their journeys, because as much as we like to think that we are all incredibly unique and it's all about us, there's a lot of learnings that I've found with entrepreneurs that you can take away and effectively learn from other people's mistakes, and also appreciate the wins that people have had when it comes to starting the online journey and growing a business. Because for a lot of people, understanding the online space is very much learning a whole new language. So I'm so glad that you could join us today. Now, today I have got Donna Ferguson from Unique Vibrations. Donna is an online coach. She's also an interviewer. So this is going to be a really, really good conversation today with an interviewer, talking to an interviewer. So I'd really like you to welcome Donna Ferguson.
Wow.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So you have actually said that you started your online journey later in your late 40s. Tell us a little bit about who you are. So you're an online coach, or you're a coach, and you have an interview series yourself. Tell us a little bit about that, and who you are and what you do.
Okay, great. I did start. I'm a late bloomer, and I did start my journey late because I had to go through a lot to get there. Obviously, we all do that. And it was really about, I held live events and I did a lot of live stuff, but it's quite a stressful process. You've got to get numbers, you've got fees, and higher prices to cover, and it becomes quite expensive. And I thought, you know what, I can probably do exactly the same thing all online, doing what I do. And so I started investigating that more.
Sorry, what is it that you do? Like, what were you doing with the online events?
So the online events, it was all
the live events.
The live events, yeah, it was all about mindset and moving forward and breaking through those barriers that have been holding them back, so their limitations. And it was quite simplified, so it was quite holistic as well. So we look at all areas of our life to find where these patterns and behaviors started, but we really try and get back to the root cause. So with hypnotherapy as part of the processes that I use, it was a good way to utilize that. But looking at the stress that was involved with going through that and filling the spaces and still having everything to organize, it was really quite a natural progression into online, because you can do the hypnotherapy online, but that's only a small part of what I do. And so I felt like if I'm connecting with the energy, then it's really quite simple to do processes, particularly timeline therapy and things like that, where you can really progress them and throw some anchors in to get them to understand if these feelings and emotions come up, then they're able to release those with just using their anchors. And it was quite interesting, because that then developed from events to a coaching program.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how the coaching started.
So you originally started off as a hypnotherapist, or yeah?
Yeah, so I did start utilizing the hypnotherapy, but felt that there was something missing. Just doing hypnotherapy with my clients, I really wanted to, get them to break through everything. And that doesn't happen with 1 or 2 sessions. And it needed to be that repetitive kind of learning process. And that's where I really started to bring all those other values into the business.
Perfect. So when it came to like that, obviously, and especially in this day and age with the pandemic and people still being in lockdown in Melbourne, and us being very stuck in a particular area, going online really does become the way to go. So when you did decide to make the shift online, what were some of the challenges that you faced starting out?
Yeah, marketing's a big one, and you know all about that. So, it was, how do you market online when you know nothing about marketing? So I had to go through and learn how to engage an audience, and then how to build the audience into a trust, loyal client. And, that's not easy. I'm sure you have clients say that to you all the time, Leanne.
Yeah.
It is a huge, and things change all the time, particularly on social media, which is one of our biggest platforms that we utilize. So it was really challenging to get that done. And I then decided to rebrand my business from what it was to what it is now in Unique Vibrations. So I went through a lot of learning and a lot of processes, but it's not till you really commit to something that things really start to develop for you.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I've found with a lot of people. Like, you have an idea of what it is that you do and who you're serving, and the results that you get. But there's so many businesses at the minute they show up online, it's like, well, hang on a second, I'm not getting any cut through. How do I call, the right clients in? So yeah, branding is really, really a big part of it. And I think too, getting the right message. So like yourself, you've put yourself out there as a coach. Now there's so many coaches out there. How do you differentiate yourself from, the next coach that says, well, I start with hypnotherapy, but?
Look, that's a really good question. And I think that we all try and define ourselves as unique coaches, but I really did a lot of work in human potential and holistic healing.
Right.
As part of the process. So when I work with a client, I'm working with them about, self-worth, self-image, where they've come from on their journey, so that they understand what those habitual behaviors are that keep running and sabotaging. And so it's mindset, and it's about, being able to break through those barriers that are holding them back, and there's techniques and processes that go with that as well. Because we so often get to a point in our life where we go, oh my gosh, that scares the hell out of me. I'd rather be comfortable. And your body starts going into dis-ease, and you start, anxiety will start popping up for a lot of people, and we suppress that rather than express it. And so therefore it's just a turmoil within us. But if you stand up and face it and harness that fear, I suppose, to break through that, then you can quantum leap. You don't just go ladder, rung on the ladder by rung on the ladder. You actually quantum leap, because you've broken through the biggest thing that's been holding you back for your whole life.
Right. So how does that translate? I mean, I can understand that from, even from a hypnosis point of view and working one-on-one. How does that translate online? So you're working with clients, and how do you put that out there online?
I do a number of masterclasses and workshops, so that they are about each area. So what we do is we have a Mind Miracles masterclass. First of all, I start with Turn Your Limits into Leverage. So we talk about stories and how anybody can utilize
stories.
Don't we? And how people can utilize that. And I show them how easy, just by sharing my story, how easy it is to move into transforming that into something. So that'd be the first one. Then we go into the Mind Miracles Masterclass, which is all about, the breakthroughs and how we work through those. And then we go into, unlocking that manifestation power that we have within us. And that is powerful in itself, because everybody has infinite potential, and we go through step by step. And I've just started doing these workshops because I only use them with my clients, but I felt like it was time to really put it out there and help everybody, or as many people as I can. I have a huge goal myself this next 12 months. And to do that, I've got to step out of my comfort zone as well. And we do a goal setting workshop, and, we negate limiting beliefs. That's another workshop. So I'm really using all these step by step so they can get into that and move through those. And then, get enough information to go, hey, we want to work with you because we can see where you're going, because it's just a snippet of what we do.
So it's almost like a product value ladder that you're working with. So you start small. So when you do your workshops and your masterminds, are you doing them via live? Because a lot of people get really funny about showing up in a situation like this. And I know you and I have done a speakers workshop together, and there is nothing more daunting than being alive. When you're on stage, you can't see what people see, but when you're doing it live, you can actually see yourself, and sometimes that's a little bit daunting. But putting yourself out of that comfort zone and showing up. So when you actually do your workshops and your masterclasses, are you doing them through a Facebook Live? Do you do through Zoom? What's the process?
I'm actually doing it through Zoom at the moment.
Okay.
It's funny because a conversation came up yesterday where they were talking, well, maybe you need to start a page where you're going to start getting your clients into a page rather than groups. And that's a whole different conversation. But, it did make me start to wonder. So Zoom at the moment, and when those groups start, I will live stream into those groups as well. But people in those groups will, on those pages, sorry, I have to differentiate because I have no idea what that really means.
And I think sometimes too that's a really important thing to remember, is that, for a lot of people see other people online and go, oh my God, they're amazing, they've got so much confidence. You don't realize that a lot of people, 99%, are still learning and growing. So, you're able to run this an incredible coaching business and speak at events around the world. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But, you haven't spent the time, okay, now I've got to understand Facebook inside out, or LinkedIn or Instagram. It's a case of just sticking to what you know and working with that. Would you agree? Like, what would you say to somebody who was starting out that, is looking at you and going, wow, if Donna can do that, so can I?
Great question. I have two coaches. So I have people around me that are going to support me. If I get stuck, I can go to them. And I think that's the number one thing. It doesn't matter what you want to do. You don't need to know how. You just need to know that you've got a support network around you. And then from there, I think I've pretty much taught myself the functions of Facebook myself. Probably spent way too many hours doing that. But now I have people where I can go, can you just tell me how to do this? I just want it to work now. I don't want to spend 5 hours trying to work it out. And I think that's what your support network's about. And whether that's coaches, which I think is a huge must when you are in business, you need to have somebody who can show you the ropes. You're going to save time, money, and stress, and all sorts of other things that go with that. But it's really important to know that you're got somewhere that you can go and ask for help. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask for help. We all need it. We're all still learning. We're all still growing. We work on, I work on myself every single day, and I'm learning and growing every day. There's something that I come across that I don't know, and I find out, and I work through it. Like, you just have to keep pushing forward.
Yeah. And you're right. I think that's a big thing too, is having that support network around you, because being an entrepreneur and having a business and then having a business online is such a lonely process sometimes. So if you don't have that support network, you're doing everything by yourself, and that sucks.
Yeah, it does
really.
suck. We've been there.
So with it, so how long have you been sort of on this online journey? Like, when was it that you decided that, okay, I'm going to start my coaching and get this happening online?
The online really only started in the last probably 3 years when I started this business. I wanted some live events, but I really wanted to develop the understanding of how to run online because I wanted to automate as much as I can. And to do that, it's really important that you have a system in place, which is pretty much online. So then with everything else that was going on, last year was a big year to really step into online totally so that I could do it from anywhere in the world that I want to. And, that's the beauty of having online businesses rather than being face-to-face, because you can do it from anywhere you want in the world, which is very exciting.
It is, definitely. So looking at your journey, you've obviously had some big wins. So one of the ones that I mentioned before was the fact that you're actually speaking at an international or a global summit. How do you get yourself into invites and into a situation like that where people reach out to you and say, hey, look, we think you're amazing. Come and talk at our summit with all these people from around the world?
Yeah, no, it was interesting. It was like, how did you get in touch with me? How did you find me? And they basically did a search of who they wanted. So I think if you're not visible online, if you're sitting in the background waiting for things to happen, then you're definitely not going to be found. I know that I think I'm quite visible in the social media, well, particularly Facebook area. And I do a lot of posting consistently and put a lot of different stuff out there. So I think it's really important that you just step up a little bit and make sure that you are in groups, that you are got people around you that will support you and comment on your posts, that you put up. There's so many
Gets back to that support network, doesn't it?
It really does. There's so many other areas, I guess, as well that come into it. It's sometimes you just don't know where these things come from. I mean, that's just one of 2 really big wins that I had in 1 week, which was really exciting. So, and I think strategic alliances, we talk about that with our coach, and it's really important to have those people. Again, it's your network. But a lady approached me. I tell you what is really interesting. Everyone that asks me to be a friend, unless I've met them in, a coaching group that I'm involved with, I will send them a personal message, every one of them. So I make sure that I've got time to sit down and do, maybe 20 in one day. But I make sure I've got that time, because I will send them a message and ask them what caught their eye. Why did they ask me to be their friend? Apart from our 400 million friends in common, because there's more to it than that. And I'm about building those relationships. And so I went to this person who asked me to be their friend, and I had a look, and I thought, oh, yes, she's a solicitor. And she said to me, actually, I own a legal firm and I'm looking for people to coach my clients. And you're the person I'm looking for. I don't know how she found me or came across me, because we had very few friends in common, like really minimal. So we had a conversation, and she has a holistic approach to her clients, doesn't take any rubbish from them. She says, no, if you're going to go to court, you need to get in the right mindset and you need to do this. And she said, and then I pass my clients on to a coach who has a holistic approach that will treat them and take them to the place they need to be.
Wow. And I think that's 2 really, I mean, firstly, congratulations. That's incredible. But there's 2 key elements there, is, like you say, showing up consistently. And Australians are renowned stalkers. We might hit a like, or the next time you see the person, oh, I saw you were doing this on Facebook. But at the time, people don't generally engage. But the second thing is having that, building that relationship and doing that reach out to, or that outreach. And it's one of the big things that we talk about with LinkedIn is, the minute you connect with someone, you don't sell, you start building a relationship. So it makes sense to actually repeat that on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
So
I'm not.
it opens the dialogue.
It does, and it gives them an opportunity to come back. I mean, I've got an appointment with somebody else this afternoon who the same reached out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm not great with LinkedIn. I've really just managed to work that out over this probably last 6 months. I thought I really need to get into this. Always scared. And I just went in and I was like, this is so easy. Why haven't I been using it? But I think I wasn't ready. You know, it's the same old thing. When you're not ready to hear the message or look at the process, you're not going to get it. And, you know, I do the same with LinkedIn. People that come to me, well, they usually send a message on LinkedIn anyway. So I just reply. I make sure I respond. And it's like, hey, great, you know, if you want to look at where this can go, let's do it. You know, let's have a conversation. And I'm getting lots of those at the moment. So it's just taking the time and putting time into what relationships you want.
Yeah. And that's a key thing is making sure, and like we spoke about strategic alliances, making sure that there is that synchronicity there to a certain degree. Although there is nothing worse than obviously because of the space that I'm in with marketing and the whole digital space, the amount of other web developers or SEO people that will reach out and straight away it's, hi, this is what we do. You know, we need to book a call. And it's like, hang on a second, I don't know you. We've just connected. You know, and I have a team. So, you know, the fact that you haven't even bothered to read what I do is insulting.
Absolutely. I'm going to say that too. It's like, you don't know anything about me, clearly.
Yeah. So you're right. It's ironic. Like the more we are online, the more we want to have that connection with the other person, which is, oh, that's fantastic. And I love the fact, like you said, you know, LinkedIn scared you. So even though you're getting out there and you're doing this, it's still something that's not entirely comfortable.
Not really, and I have to remember to go in every day, and I don't. So, you know, I'm still like, oh gosh, yes, LinkedIn, I have to go there. I get a message. Somebody from message me from LinkedIn. Oh, that's right, I haven't posted all week. But I know LinkedIn's different, has a different feel as well. And you know, if you're not posting every day, then it doesn't matter. But I have worked out how to put an article up, and I have worked out, you know, how to put a post up. I don't know how to schedule it yet. So I don't know if that's because you have to be on pro or not. I have no idea. So I'm still working it out as I go, as most of us do.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So if I was to ask you what digital success is to you, how would you sum that up?
Wow. Digital success. I think the first part of that would be mastering the digital space. I think secondly, digital success is knowing that your community are loyal and that you've built those relationships with people before you start hounding them to buy from you. And that comes when you know that they're on those courses, they're on those free events, the paid events, and then they, you know, turn into that trust relationship where they just come to you and refer to you. And I think that is definitely about digital success, because I think it takes a bit more work in the sense of they're not seeing you physically. So a lot of people won't pick up energy on an online situation, but they will pick it up in a person-to-person or a face-to-face. And I think that it's really important that your energy is flowing. And, you know, business owner yourself, you know that we have to be on no matter where we are and what we're doing. And we have to project that high vibrational frequency so that we are being who we are all the time.
Yeah, true. And it's quite amusing. Like I often say that, you know, even though the platforms are different and what we're doing is different now because it is all online, you know, it really, the basic tenets of marketing haven't changed. It's still building relationships. It's still getting that know, like, then trust. you know, and no different to what marketing was, you know, 20 or 30 years ago. It's just a different platform now.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's exciting the fact that, you know, you've sort of come in, you know, later, well, I don't know if I'd consider it later in life now, but but for what some people would consider, you know, later in life like this. And let's be honest, this technology is not something that we've grown up with. You know, it's we've adapted as it's grown. You know, as opposed to our kids, or my kids especially, who, you know, it's just second nature. So getting that understanding that, you know, really the basics haven't changed. You still have to get people to know you. If you're not showing up, you know, and you're not consistently posting, you're not consistently showing up on video and putting yourself out there, they're not going to get to know you. You know, they can't get to like you, and they're sure as hell not going to trust you.
And buy from you at the end. Yeah, that's right. So it is a process, and you just have to be consistent. I mean, if you're not consistent, then people are going to go, oh, where is she? You know, oh, she hasn't been around for a while. And they forget you very easily because there's a new face coming up all the time.
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah.
So for somebody that was coming out, say you've had another coach come to you and say, look, I'm just moving into this space. You know, I've been watching you. I love what you do. What are 2 or 3 tips that you would give to somebody that was sort of starting out?
I would ask them to be 100% clear on what they actually want, not what other people want them to be or what other people want them to teach. I think it's really important for them to know who they are. So once they know who they are, then they can start tapping into what it is that they truly want with clarity. And then they can start expanding from that. It's a process, and you're going to change as you grow anyway. I mean, we all have changed where we started to where we are now. And my spiritual journey has been, you know, very powerful probably over the last 5 years. But before that, I just dabbled a little bit here and there. I didn't really get it, but I've gone on such a deeper level now, and that's why it's important when you are starting a business that you really know who you are and what you want to achieve from that, and set your intentions, set your goals, and just keep pushing through.
Yeah, and that's true. It's so easy to sort of give up, and especially and that's part of the reason why I actually started this series, is because I got sick and tired of seeing all these posts, you know, like follow this process and be earning 6 figures in the next 3 months. It doesn't work that way. You know, this is a business. It's no different to building a bricks and mortar business. It takes time, you know, so that's fantastic. So if somebody wants to learn a little bit more about what you do when it comes to, you know, your coaching and your vibrational work and the courses that you do, how do people connect with you?
They can book a 30-minute free chat with me. I'm happy to have a chat with people, and we can run through perhaps what some of their challenges are. They'll see how I'm able to work through that with them so that they can walk away with, you know, knowing and being able to tap into some things that interest them. And they can do that on my Facebook page, Unique Vibrations Facebook page. That will, there's appointments in there. They just go, the calendar will come up. They can just book a half-hour session with me. And, you know, if they just pop that they've seen it on here, then I'm, you know, that will be a different call to what my normal 30-minute chat might be. But at least we start to work out a few things about them, and then if they want to follow up with another call after that, we can look at a discovery call.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your time with me and with us, and you know, I really appreciate you jumping on and sharing a little bit about your online journey, because it's interesting actually, some of the comments that we've had from previous guests where everybody's in a different field, but there's other people that are still on that journey that there might be 1 or 2 tips or 1 or 2 things that you've said, and they go, oh, I didn't think of that. That makes sense. You know, so I really do appreciate you sharing your time with us today. And yeah, if anyone wants to connect with Donna, then please make sure that you go to her Unique Vibrations page and connect. And yeah, thanks, Donna. I really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Leanne. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, thanks. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. And yeah, if you are watching the replay, please comment below and say that you are watching the replay. And if there are any tips that you have received from this or aha moments, I would love it if you would share it with us, because that actually it gives me a better idea of what it is that people need to know when it comes to actually starting their online journey. So once again, thank you for your time, and we will see you again next week at 10:30, where I'll have another fantastic entrepreneur talking to us about their online journey. So in the meantime, have an amazing week. Bye.